événements, cliquez sur passer en direct pour faire ça. Okay. Alright, I think the streaming is starting, so that's quite good. Let me check that. Hop. Spectator en attente, j'aime tout. Place to travel in March. You have Bali, you have the Canary Islands, Honduras, California, Brazil. And for example, I already traveled in Brazil in February and March, and actually that's pretty nice. It's quite hot, but not too much because it starts to be the end of summer there. You have the Carnival in February, March, which is happening right now, and it's quite cool. Actually, I've made many videos about Brazil, and you can check them on my channel. But so on this website, which is cool, is that you can check, for example, a country, let's say Japan, and you can see a little bit many interesting cultural events, natural events that will happen during this month. If you after click here, for example, March, you will see everything that may happen. And one of the beautiful things in March in Japan, it's the cherry blossom trees, the cherry trees that blossom, and it's absolutely amazing. Maybe you've already seen that on YouTube or Instagram, where you have beautiful, beautiful pink trees, and this is actually something to see. If you travel in Japan, the best will be in March to see that. So that's just an example, and you can use this website rove.me, and from this website you will be able to answer one of the crucial questions: where do you want to travel? After that, you will have how long, how much, and what type. For me, these three questions are a little bit related to one to each other, because for example, if for example, what type of travel will depend a little bit of how much money you can spend. For example, if you want to have a luxury travel and you have just a certain amount of money, you won't be able to do it as luxury as you want. You will have to restrain a little bit the type of travel. So maybe choose a less luxury hotel or Airbnb or something like that. So you have those three questions that are kind of related one to each other. How long will depend also on the money you can spend. But so you have kind of a small formula, like how long is the time in days, what type will be the cost per days, and how much will be the total amount. So if you want to spend 10 days traveling and you want to spend $50 per day, so you will spend, not the flight included, $500 on those 10 days. And this would state a little bit the type of travel you will do. So you have this type of relation between those three questions, and you do your own mix. There is no right solution, there is no right answer to that. Everyone have his own preferences for that. Me, I prefer to have long travel, for example, like 1-2 months, and to spend not as low as possible, but to spend an amount between 30 to 50 euros per day. I'll try to lower, but when I do some big activities, it will be a little bit higher. But this way, for 1-2 months, you can really enjoy the place, enjoy the country you're visiting, and really learning the cultures, doing various activities, and really relaxing yourself and being very far away from your country. So this is the type of travel I like, and that's the travel I would advise everyone to do if you really want to learn about a new culture or a new country. That's the best way, I would say. Yeah. So that's those first questions you have to answer. And let me see the chat. Is there everyone? Okay. Okay. Up. So once you've answered these questions, you know where you're going to travel, you know how long you will travel, and more or less how much you will spend. But first, before traveling, you will have to spend maybe a little bit of money to do some administrative tasks, such as visa, vaccines, and some other stuff. The first thing to look at is the vaccines. If you're going to a tropical country, you will need to spend a little bit of money to do some vaccines, because some of them are kind of mandatory, some of them are highly recommended, and some others may not be highly recommended, but nice to have. So you have various websites, such as, for example, this one also. I'm going to show it to you. It's the Travel Health cdc.gov, where you have all the recommended vaccines and a safety measure to do before going to a certain country you're going to travel. For example, let's say I want to travel to Thailand because it's kind of a famous destination nowadays. Thailand, you have some information about the country, and you have also the vaccine and medicines that you should take. For example, here the routine vaccines, chickenpox, the flu, the measles, the polio. So, for example, chickenpox, I've done it. I've traveled to Thailand as well, so I could tell you a little bit. I've done many vaccines because I'm doing a world trip. So I'm passing through various countries, and so I had to do many vaccines. I don't remember for Thailand that I've done 6 vaccines. Maybe I already had some, but some of them are mandatory, are very important. Hepatitis A or B also. So here you have a first sketch of a first draw and information about the vaccines you should have. I think you will already have some. If not, that may be good for you to go to a doctor and do a vaccine if you want to protect yourself at least against those big diseases. You have another one also website. It's, let me show it to you. It's from the United Kingdom country, where you have kind of the same website a little bit. You choose a country here, for example, Australia, and you will have some vaccine recommendations. You have also other risks, etc. So you have those two here, cdc.gov and also travelhealthpro.org. I'm gonna put them in the chat so you have access to them. And so far, do you have any questions? If not, that's good. Oh, you have this one. You also have this one, but I'm not gonna put Australia. No. And you also have the very first website I showed you about which country you can choose to travel to. It's worth.me. There is no sponsorship or whatsoever in this live. It's just the first time I'm doing a live, and I just want to share a little bit my experience, how I travel, how I prepare a trip, to help you to do the same. So no sponsorship or whatsoever. Everything here is free, and I just want to share my knowledge a little bit. So once you've done the vaccine, if you want to do so, there is also the visa, and that will be mandatory. If you want to travel to a country, you will need a visa. Not always, but you will need to check if you need a visa regarding your passport to enter to the country you're going to travel to. You have also a very nice website. It's passportindex.org, and I'm going to show it to you right there, where you have here an amazing website. I discovered it recently. You have all the passports in the world, and if you checked one of them, for example, I'm gonna try to search for mine. Up. France. And here I can check where I would need a visa, where I have a visa free for 90 days, which means I can enter the countries, for example in Albania, for 90 days. After that, if I stay longer, I should apply for a visa. But normally 90 days is 3 months traveling. It's already quite a lot to stay in one country. After that, I think it should be fine. So as a French guy, it's super nice. You can travel in Asia quite easily. You can travel in Latin America easily, and that's absolutely amazing. Look at your own passport index here, and if you need a visa or not before traveling. That's very important. Sometimes you need to apply weeks in advance. Sometimes you just have it directly when you arrive at the airport, and most of the time you have to pay for the visa. when you have to get a visa. It can vary from 10-15 euros to something like 30-35 euros, something like that. And I'm going to put this website also on the chat. Hop, there you are. Attends, est-ce que je suis en direct? J'ai l'impression que je ne suis pas forcément en direct. I'm just going to check something quickly. I'm still not in live. Ah ouais, ok, j'étais pas encore en direct. Bon, mais normalement c'est enregistré. Donc au moins, ok. Okay. Okay, now I think I'm in live, which is good. Okay. Well, it happens, that's first time in live, but normally if you go a bit backwards, you will see the beginning. So yeah, we were at the travel index. And so once you've looked at your passport and if you need a visa to the country you're going to travel, after that you can think also about the travel insurance. I would say travel insurance can vary a little bit. Most of people would already have an insurance with their credit cards, for example, are already included in the common insurance you already have, but that will be for kind of the basic holidays. If you're just going to visit cities nearby and do a little bit of cultural immersion in the big city. But if you do more adventurous travel, such as, oh, I'm going to do many hikes, I'm going to do jungle trek, maybe the probability of accidents is a little bit more higher. So you may need to in that case, to contract travel insurance, because the riskier the adventures and the higher the probability, so it's just better to get insured. You will have to pay a little bit, maybe something like 100 to 200 if you travel for 2-3 months. But it depends from each country with the insurance policies, and that vary quite a lot regarding each country. So yeah, for small travel nearby, that may not be necessary, but for big travel with high risks, that might be good to have it. After that, also another good thing to have, it's a good credit card. The more you travel and the more you will realize that not every bank have the same options for you, and there's many banks that will charge you high rate fees when you try to withdraw cash or pay by card at some foreigners countries. And so this can impact a lot your budget when you travel. So the best would be to have a credit card that will allow you very low fees when you withdraw cash in a foreign country, when you pay by card, or when you do even bank transfer from one to pay a tour or something like that. And I've seen that most of the online banks have the best rates for that. For example, me, I'm at Revolut. There's also N26 or even Trade Republics. And I think they have pretty good rates, pretty good options when you travel. So yeah. And so for all the administrative, safety and vaccine groups, so you have to look at the vaccine, the visa, travel insurance, maybe choose a good bank for travel. And the last but not least, it's when you plan the travel to a country. The good thing will be to read a little bit some blogs, to look at some YouTube videos, to watch some Instagram reels, to learn a little bit more about the countries, about the country you will travel, about the culture you will be into, kind of, and to the behavior you will have to avoid or to do to comply a little bit with the culture and the people there. It's not much, but sometimes you just have to be a little bit more respectful. For example, I'm French, I'm living in Paris, And the metro in Paris is quite something. It's very chaotic, and for example, when the doors open of the metro, you don't necessarily wait people to go out, you just enter. Sometimes it's the case, sometimes it's not the case, but for example, in Thailand, in Bangkok, you have a really good metro network, and it's quite a thing to take the metro there. And people are really respectful and wait on the side of the doors that everyone goes out of the tram, and after you can enter. And so this was a little bit surprising, happily surprising when I saw that. So few things that you have to adapt to when you visit a new country like that. Okay. Remember, if you have any questions or anything related to traveling and organizing a travel, just do so in the chat. I'm here to respond to any questions you have. Okay. So after that, once you've choose a country, once you've started to do the visa, the vaccine, once you know a little bit how it's gonna be when you're gonna enter this country you're gonna travel to, you have to make your bag. And this is it's gonna be difficult for me to tell you what to put in your bag because it can vary so much regarding what type of travel you're gonna do. If you're just gonna travel to some islands or you're just gonna go to the mountains, it really depends a lot. So me, I'm just gonna take my case. When right now I'm doing a whole world tour where I'm traveling to some islands, mountains, so that's a bit difficult to pack everything. But in the general case, what I have in my bag, it's simple. I'm just trying to not take too many things because I just have a 50-liter bag. So the size of the bag first should not be too much. I think 50 liters is quite good. 40 liters will be nice also, will be okay if you travel maybe 1-2 months, something like that. If you travel more, you may gonna need more clothes or stuff. But 30 liters, that may be a bit too small. And 60 liters may be a bit too much because when you travel or when you do a backpacking road trip, you have to carry it. And most of the time, that's the big backpack, and you also have a small backpack in front. Me, that's the case for all my tech, my gear, my laptop, etc. So 50 liters was good. If I would have taken 60 liters, that would have been too much weight. So to pack your bag, I would say try to take 1 week of clothes, of shirts, of shorts, of underwear, of socks as well, but not much, because everywhere you will go you will find laundries. You probably will be in a small village or in a big city, and in every type of place you will have laundry somewhere where you can wash your clothes, or even you can do it at your place. But in a week, in the length of 1 week, you have time to put some clothes and to wash them and to wash some others. So you have kind of a rollout or turnaround to always have clean clothes. For the shoes, I just have 1 pair of shoes that I'm having with me and 1 pair of flip-flop. And that way I never had any problem whatsoever to hike a mountain or to go to the beach. But this is kind of a running shoes, not city shoes. So with that, it's kind of a versatile a little bit because I can hike, I can walk, or I can run also a little bit if I want to do some sports, some gym. So the main goal is to have clothes or stuff or shoes that you can use in many different environments. To not choose something that is too specific for one specific activity, unless you're going to do this activity many times. But if you're going to do just 1 or 2 hikes, that may not be necessary to have many long sleeve, to have a lot of, I don't know, scarves, to have some stick or something like that. Maybe you can run some when you do hikes. Maybe you can just have a wood stick or something like that. The goal is to have the good equipment, but that it doesn't take too much weight, and that you will use everything as many times as possible, if that makes sense. I think if some people already had some experiences, just share in the comments. But for me, for example, first time I traveled for a long period of time, I chose too many t-shirts. I took too many t-shirts, and there were some t-shirts of mine that I didn't really like, and so I never wore them for like 2 months, because I always had the opportunity to choose another one that I would prefer wearing. So this kind of reflection you have to get. Okay, will I take this shirt? Will I wear it? Or it's just in case? If it's just in case, that's not very useful. Then you can put it on the side, and I think you will be good without it. So those kind of critical thinking when you pack your bag, I use it a lot. What's useful, what's not? So yeah, depend on the destination. When we close, bikinis, 1, 2 for the girls. Maybe me, I just have 1, and that's quite enough. Also for the pharmacy, for all the drugs, the medicaments, if you have any accident or whatsoever, that's nice to have a first aid kit, a small one, just in case. But for all the small stuff that you would like to take, like medicine, painkiller, something like that, that can be useful to have 1 or 2 things like that. But remember that in many places you will go, you will have supermarkets, you will have laundry, you will have restaurants, you will also have pharmacy. In every places, in every village, even as small as you can think of, you will have all the basic utilities, such as a pharmacy. And you will find all the things you will need if you scratch yourself, if you have a lot of pain, or if you need something. You will find what you need. In any country you will have all those medicaments. So don't pack a too big first aid kit with too many pills or whatsoever. That's most of the time useless. Maybe a painkiller, but apart from that, you will be fine. And if you need, you have pharmacy in the country you will travel to. Is there any questions so far? No, all good? Okay, nice. So after that, the last big stuff no, it's not really a thing. The last big takeaway for you to have, it's practical thing. It's going to be apps on the phone, the food when you will start to eat, and also a few other stuff. So the first thing, it's like the apps on the phone that you can have that can be quite useful to have. It's a taxi app, such as Uber, works in Europe, works in Latin America. But if you go in Asia, you will have also another app called Grab that are quite useful. And I think it's quite interesting to have those apps, because when you travel to exotic countries, most of the time taxi knows that you are a tourist and maybe trying to scam you a little bit. At least when you read blogs, you will see that this happens quite a lot. Sorry for all the taxi drivers, but I've met a lot of them that try to scam me. And so the more you read on internet and the more you see that's a common thing. So those applications like Grab in Asia part to get some food or to take a scooter or a taxi to go from one place to another are quite useful, like Uber. You also have for the weather Windy. It's just a small app to get a pretty nice weather forecast if you really plan a trip, an activity, and it really depends on the weather. For example, if you want to do some surf, well, can be interesting to see if it's going to rain, if you're going to have a lot of wind, or those kind of interesting things. Same for hikes, etc. Windy, it's a nice app. I'm using it quite a lot. And also, most importantly, for the budget, I'm using this app quite a lot to just not forget all the things I've spent each day, so I can really manage correctly my budget. It's called Tree Count, and it's quite useful, this one, Tree Count, because you can share a travel with other people. So if you travel with 2 or 3 people, you can all put the expenses and share the expenses with the other, and so it will show the balance between everyone. If someone has paid a little bit more since the previous day, so the other can pay a little bit more to balance a little bit who's paying what, etc. So it's kind of a good app, Tree Count, to manage the budget. And I think for the apps, that's all. Maybe you guys have some other apps. If you have some, just put it in the chat. That could be quite interesting for me, for my travel, but also for the other ones that's watching this stream. So good. And after that, the food. So the food is quite something when you travel to a new country. Most of the time, the food may be different. You may have heard stories about people getting sick when they eat the first time in a new country. It's quite famous. For example, I've seen in Bali, in Indonesia, there's like the Bali belly. Like when you arrive in Bali and you eat your first meals, you get sick for a few days because maybe of the water they use or just the bacteria you can find on vegetables or something like that. I didn't have that when I was there, fortunately, so that's good. But that's something that can happen many times, and the best way to prevent that is to just go slowly. So the first days when you travel to a new when you travel to a new country, when you experience those new foods, the best way is to just to go small exotic foods the first day, maybe after a little bit more the second day, and the third, the fourth, your stomach has adapted a bit more. It has the new bacteria in it, and so normally it should be fine. But if you go too strong on the first days, that may be a shock for your body, and you may gonna be sick. So just be aware of that. Go slowly for that. And some other stuff that I wrote, like to seamlessly learning from the country and the culture you're traveling to. That's something that I just said a little bit earlier, to learn a little bit the behaviors of the locals, so you're not so like you're adapting to all the cultures, to all the things that they do, so you're not hurting their feelings. I don't have the words in English, but there's like another words, I don't have it. But basically, you're not insulting them. So by trying to learn a little bit from them and acting like they do, at least that shows that even if you're doing some mistakes, you will do, or at least you show that you're trying to do the right things. I've seen many, I've read many people saying that about Japan, that they have many traditions, cultures, way of behaving that can be a little bit difficult to adapt on the first days. So they can feel insulted on the when you meet them and when you don't act as you should, because in Japan you need to bow, you need to say certain things, to do certain things at certain moments. And so yeah, you have that in every countries, but yeah, I think that's also why I love so much traveling for me in new countries, is to learn from those new cultures, to experience a little bit how they behaving, how they live, and try to live a little bit the same lives, to understand them a little bit, and to have kind of the philosophy of life. And I quite like that. That's one reason I travel a lot. And the second reason is just to do many different adventures that I couldn't really in my country, like seeing beautiful lakes with like beautiful colors. Like right now I'm in Mexico and in Bacalar, and these beautiful lakes with like blue water with different shades of blue. It's absolutely amazing, and this you cannot really see it in France. So that's also something I really like to when I travel, to see various landscapes. I'm curious about you also, your reasons of why you're traveling. If you have some, or if you have some, just write in the comment. I'm a little bit curious about that. Yeah. And I hope that on this whole live that was a little bit clear. I have a question from Anik. Do I need to bring hiking boots? Well, it depends on the type of travel you will do. Like, for example, let's just pick an example. If you're gonna travel for like 2 months in Latin America, something like that, and you are going to do, you know that you want to do hikes, and you know that most of the time you will pick cities that are quite located in the mountains, that there's hikes around, and that's what you will do most of the time. Most of the activities that you will do in each city, it's every time 1-2 hikes. Yeah, definitely having hiking boots, definitely worth it, because otherwise every time you will do a hike, that may gonna hurt your feet a little bit. But if you, on the opposite, if you plan to do 2 months trip in Latin America, but you're just gonna pass 2 weeks in mountain zone region, like in Peru as well, or another place, and the other time you will be in jungle in the Amazon, and after you will be at the beach in Brazil or something like that, then you will have to think about the weight and the place those hiking boots will take into your bag, and does it worth it for the amount of time I will wear them in those hikes on the first 2 weeks, and after that, when I will be in the jungle, in the beach, will I use them? And that's your own thoughts, and that will be your own judgment. And after various experiences of traveling like that, of having those questions and answering them, and okay, on those both cases I will take them, well, maybe you will do those type of trips, these second trips where you do just 2 weeks in a mountain area, and after you're going to jungle and beach. And if after the trip you're like, okay, I've took them, but I was way too much to have them, because at the end I just used them 3 times. Well, now the next time you will know that those ones are not that useful for that period of time you were in the mountain. So it's really your own judgment, and it depends about for me, how I'm thinking about it. It's how many times am I gonna wear them. If it's for like 2 months travel, I'm gonna wear them, I don't know, 3 times, because I'm gonna do 3 hikes. Now I'm gonna take like some versatile shoes where that may not be the easiest shoes to wear to do those hikes. That will be a bit more challenging, so challenge accepted. But after that, I think that will be better, because I will have less things in my bag. And on the opposite, if you do like 10-15 hikes, of course that's worth it. I hope I answer your question. And yeah, okay. So I think that will be it for this video. And so a small text for you. Preparing a trip can be a little bit overwhelming, even more when it's your first time backpacking. So I know there's many people that already travel a lot, but backpacking, just like I've kind of explained to you, this whole explanation is how to prepare a backpacking trip with your backpack and traveling in like exotic places. I haven't talked about the subject solo traveling, friendships traveling, or organizing group. I think I will do another live, because right now it's already quite long, so I don't want to take too much time right now. But so this is backpacking, and right now there's also big noise, so better to finish it right now. But so yeah, after this episode, now you know the practical first steps to go ahead and hop on that plane. So thanks a lot for joining me on this journey. And next time I think, not sure, but if you want, just say in the chats, but I will taking you to the jungle where lives some of the last orangutans of this planet. A 4 days and 3 nights trip in Bukit Lawang jungle in Indonesia to meet the human of the jungle. That's orangutan's name in Indonesia. I've done a trip here and that was absolutely amazing. For 4 days, we did trekking, hiking in the jungle to search for orangutans and other monkeys. That was absolutely insane. That's the type of travel I really, really like. So that can be the next subject for the next live. If you want so, you have to say it in the chat if you want that. Or if you want some other one, just ask your questions. What would you like to see in the next live, okay? And the most important stuff, if you're still here, guys, you have to subscribe, right? So don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss this next live and also the next video I will post about this whole world trip I'm doing right now. All right? I'll see you on the next video, guys. Ciao, ciao.